Hello and welcome to the video. This is my overview and review of this little quadcopter here. This is the new HD version of the Tadpole that's available from Armattan. Now, Armattan and I have a very long relationship. In fact, my very first real quadcopter that I ever got was this thing here. I think this is called an Armattan 358. Believe it or not, these are CNC cut aluminium arms. It's a KK 2.0 in the middle. See, it's even got the Dean's connector at the bottom. This was my first ever quadcopter, and the reason I've still got it is that this is the little device that got me in love with the whole multi-rotor side of the hobby. Now, we've come an awful long way from that thing down to this beautiful little Tadpole HD. Now, Armattan is the only manufacturer that I'm aware of that offers a real lifetime warranty. That means that if you break the frame of the model, then Armattan will replace it. Even if you buy an Armattan model from somebody else and you break it, Armattan will still honour the warranty. So this is one of those things that, although it might feel like it's a relatively expensive piece of kit, if you break it, you do have a lot of backup. And that's pretty unique to Armattan. Other people offered warranties like that, but they were nowhere near as comprehensive as the Armattan one. Now, I've not seen anything from Armattan for a while, so when I saw that they had updated my beloved Tadpole, which I have an analog version of here, with the HD version, I thought, you know what, I've got to get one of those in and give it a try, because Armattan models are built so beautifully well and usually just fly fantastically too. Now, as I said, I've got the original Tadpole in the analog version, and there are some significant differences from this one over the original. The frame is more reminiscent of the smaller model, the Gecko, rather than the original Tadpole. We have the same kind of sloping deck, and everything is fitted in here absolutely beautifully with the metal protection for the camera and the mount at the back, and just the way it's built is really nice. Now, I do like the fact that these models come with a real little sheet with a handwritten note with all of the checks they've done on it shipped to you. Now, you don't have to buy this model as it is here. This is mine. I buy it as a ready to fly just because it's a lot easier to get in to do reviews and to spend less time building it and more time flying it. But you can buy the frame on its own if you want to build your own, or you can buy it as a kit. And the other thing I'm interested in doing, because I haven't had an Armattan model in for a while, is which version of Betaflight have they put on here. Now, Armattan was pretty happy with around Betaflight 3.5-ish, because that, for many pilots, was considered one of the best flying versions of Betaflight, and I'm interested to see what they've done here. So while I show you how mine came boxed, let's talk about the specs. So again, this is the Tadpole HD. Inside this is the CL Racing F4 Mini flight controller that is soft mounted. Underneath that is a 4-in-1 25 amp Speedix 20x20 ESC. That is connected on the arms to 4 Armattan branded 1204 5000 kV motors, looking very modern and small, particularly as you saw them next to the analog version that I've got here. Really nice inside is that Armattan have not skimped on the kit for the HD system. Again, there's nothing to stop you putting an analog setup in here, but this is the Cadix Nebula Pro Vista kit, and I'm really pleased about that. So many of these smaller models I've been getting in recently have the other Nebula cameras in, and the Mini is just not great in my opinion, and it is always a shame to see something like that on a beautiful model. Propellers are Gemfan Wind Dancer 3028 3-bladed propellers. Those seem to be a lot quieter than some of the others that I've tried recently. Only one set in the box, so I would definitely order a couple of spares because you're going to be flying this around when you get hold of it. There is the light grip on the top for the battery. Remember to peel that off. That'll make sure the battery doesn't move at all in flight. Dog bone landing pads, LiPo strap, and XT30 connector on the back. DJI version was on the very latest and greatest, and the DJI system was activated as well. And that tracked with all of this being tested before it was shipped from the factory. Let's plug it into Betaflight, have a quick look. So move everything on the bench. That all looks good. Let's enable expert mode and just quickly go through the tabs. Ports look like this. Only thing really turned on is MSP for the DJI system. Configuration, standard motor direction, D-Shot 600, running an 8K gyro and PID loop frequency. It's an F4 based flight controller this, so it's running at about 14-15% with those settings. Everything else is pretty standard. The only thing I'll draw your attention to is the beeper D-Shot beacon configuration is set, and that's good because there isn't a separate buzzer on this. Power and battery look like this, and they seem to work really nicely and they're accurate. Fail safe is set to drop. PID tuning, quickly show you here. I'll put the dump and diff files below. Interestingly, this I've just noticed at the top, this is Betaflight 417. So that's pretty current. That's really good. Armattan, this is your first ever quad I've had in like this. Mode, I'm going to need a bit of a tweak. There's just angle and air mode in here, so definitely connect it, come in here and set it up how you want. On-screen display is going to need a little bit of a tweak. You can obviously, because it's set up for telemetry back to your goggles, have other things shown. And then in the video transmitter stuff, nothing's set up on this one. This is the DJI unit. So again, I will do all the standard stuff. Really pleased to see that Armattan have moved up to using some of the latest and greatest versions of Betaflight and got all that goodness. I'll show you how it flies in a minute. But again, dump and diff files are below. In terms of flying, it is everything that I would come to expect from an Armattan model. It is fantastic. The thing that really took my breath away was how much power this little fella has. I'm running it on a 650 milliamp hour 4S battery, and it is hovering at about 20% throttle. Flying around, it's only using about 5 amps. It feels incredibly well locked in. And with those motors and props, it isn't making the same loud noises that I would expect from a model of this size. So although it's not a stealth model by any stretch of the imagination, its small size makes it very portable, and the lower noise from it means that once you're 300-400 yards away, it's very hard to hear it, if you even hear it at all. But for flying around and having a shed load of fun, it is fantastic. The view in the camera is excellent, but it's going to be. This is the Cadix Pro camera, and again, I'm so thankful that Armattan haven't skimped on the camera, because other quads that I've got in at the moment that I'm looking at are using some of the Cadix Minis and some of the other ones, and it just doesn't look great. About 5 minutes flight time from that 650 milliamp hour 4S battery, although I would love it to be a little bit longer. It is just incredible fun to fly and to zoom around with. No real surprises with the flying with this at all. It's just lovely, and that's kind of what you expect from Armattan. Armattan do put a lot of time and effort into making sure these models are absolutely spot on. There is one cute thing that is worthwhile mentioning. Now, there are a number of rate profiles for this model loaded on, along with Auxiliary 2 set up to change them. By default, it's in the beginner rates, which are very tame, perfect for somebody that's new. However, if you want to access the full capabilities of this model, then I'd recommend you spend a little bit of time, have a look in Betaflight, and make sure that you have a switch assigned so that you can go into the intermediate or high rates, and that way you'll be able to access the full flippy-floppy action on this thing. So in summary, there is a lot to like about this Armattan model. It is a beautiful build. They always are from these guys. I always feel that my soldering is quite scruffy compared to how the guys who make these things at Armattan do it. The Cadix Pro is a great addition. Again, thumbs up Armattan for doing that. And the weight is exceptionally light. It is well under the 250 grams, if that's something that you're really interested in. However, in most places, it's a bit irrelevant, because as soon as you put a camera on it, particularly here in the UK, then it's subject to all the regular laws for the larger models anyway. The tune, as you'd expect from Armattan, is really good, but just be aware of those different rate profiles. The default one, which is for beginners, will give you very slow rolls and flips. I'd recommend going on to profile 2. It'll give you a far better flying experience. Noise levels are less than some of the other models that I've tried. Again, it might be these props. I might try these props on some of the other models in this class to see if it makes a difference. And it was nice that everything was set up so well. You are going to have to go into Betaflight to do the OSD and set up the modes how you want it, and also move things around in the on-screen display just so they're set for the DJI system. Only a couple of things to be aware of, really. First one is there's no spare props in the box. So I'm going to be ordering a spare set of props because this is going to be a regular flyer. This is just such a fun little model. Obviously, there isn't a GPS and there isn't a beeper on here. This isn't an Explorer class. This is just a rip it around and have fun kind of model. So be aware of that. The D-Shot beeper is set, but if you're going to be flying in long grass, it might be worthwhile maybe sticking on some kind of lost model alarm. There's probably just enough room behind the camera to squeeze one inside the frame. This gets 5 stars from me. It's great for lots of different styles of flying, and with the non-default rates, great for freestyle too. It can feel like a lot of money for this kind of kit. You know, the Caddx Vista Pro is about $165, the frame's $45, flight controller's $34, ESC's $35, the motors are £54 for a set of 4, and the props are kind of $3. So it's about $336 for the individual components, and the build, if you get the ready to fly version like I have it here, only costs an extra $13, and the shipping's included as well, which is why this one was really a no-brainer for me. The kit is available if you want to build it yourself. It's $40 less than the ready to fly $349. If you really like to set it up yourself, again, the dump and diff that I have on this model is available down below if you want to set it up the same way too. Don't forget about that lifetime warranty. Armattan does do a great job with that. It is nice to know that if I am unlucky enough to break one of these arms, then I can get a replacement. A lot of the current fleet that I'm flying is all the Armattan quads. Check out my other reviews, things, you know, like the Badger, the Marmot, things like that. But this just looks, feels, flies just like such a bigger model. I just wish it flew for more than 5 minutes at a time. And the last comment is there is a lot of competition at this price point, with it being the kind of $350. There are lots of other options that are out there, and there are cheaper models if you're on a budget. But I've been flying Armattan models for 7 or 8 years now, and it is nice to see them bringing out new products and putting the same love and attention to them, and they've always done, using the modern components and making those tweaks to the frame to give it a little bit more lightness, and using modern motors as well. This is an excellent version of the Tadpole in HD, and if you're looking for a little pocket rocket that you can keep with you and fly in lots of places with your DJI system, this needs to be on your list. Thank you for spending your time today watching that video. You can find me in all the usual places on social media, and if you're trying to learn about a subject, then check out the playlist. All of my videos are organized into easy to follow playlists that, if you're trying to learn a topic, will take you from the basics right the way through to some pretty advanced stuff.